So good morning everyone. Good morning. Good morning, sir. So today I will report about the relevance and appropriateness in the use of teaching and learning. So for this moment, I will report about the 5 principles in selecting instructional materials. First is principle of appropriateness. Second is principle of authenticity. Third is principle of cost. Fourth, principle of interest. And lastly, principle of organization and balance. And other considerations, environmental factors, dynamic variable, example, size of class, attitudes, and etc. So, these instructional materials, these are the device that assist the instructors in teaching learning process. So first is principle of appropriateness. In this principle, instructional media must promote the general and specific goals of the class. So these instructional media are those compatible to the class you delivered, how you delivered the lesson. For example, you're teaching in the preschool, so you will give a follow-up information, or you were magpakita kanila og videos pang nursery, like that, like alphabet song that can enhance their learning. Next is principle of authenticity. This instructional media must present accurate, up-to-date, and dependable information. So for example, nag-discuss ka based on your life experiences. So you need to present, or you need to give the information about what is the current issues in your life, or life experiences. So it will depend, the information you give, it depend on what your lesson delivered to your class. Third is principle of cost. In this principle, the goal is to substitute must be considered first, or find another materials if the materials you are using is quite expensive. So in this principle, so you cannot afford the expensive alternative instructional media. So you need to find ways on how you can deliver your lessons to your class. Because it's not all about on what your instructional media you use and how you delivered your lessons, but it's all about on how you deliver the lessons on your class. That's all on how you delivered the lesson in your class, so that they can understand what you give, or what you discussed about that lesson.
So now let's proceed to the fourth principle, which is the principle of interest. So instructional materials must stimulate curiosity or satisfy the learner's need to know. It must have the power to motivate, encourage creativity, and imaginative response among users. So when we say principle of interest, it's more likely that you're going to catch the learner's attention for them to get interested in the topic that you're going to tackle for them. So for me, it's more like encouraging active learning. Learning is an active process. Students are not able to learn much by just sitting on the classes and listening to teachers, memorizing pre-packaged assignments, and churning out answers. So they must be able to talk about what they're learning, write about it, and relate it to past experiences and apply it into their daily lives. So students really need to make a learning a part of themselves. So the teacher will try to ask students to relate what they are learning to something in real life. And It could be encourage students or to challenge their ideas to the ideas of other students or those ideas presented in readings or other class. So now let's proceed to the principle number 5. So it's the principle of organization and balance. Instructional materials must be well organized and well balanced in content. Purpose of the material must be clearly stated or perceived. Instructional materials in this principle must promote the general specific goals of the class. So, in this principle, there should be a local organization, clarity, and accordance with the principles of learning, such as reinforcement, transfer, and application in the materials. So, the instructional materials must promote the general specific goals. For example, is the vocabulary level, the difficulty of concepts, methods of development, and interest appeal. So, in the other considerations, the availability of the resources, learning outcomes, and environmental factors, dynamic variable, size of the classes, attitudes, are just among the few to be considered when choosing the most feasible and applicable instructional media for effective teaching learning process. So for our topic, relevance and appropriateness in the use of teaching and learning. So a while ago, we're just talking about the principles, and now we're going to talk about the significance of instructional materials. So instructional materials are used by a teacher to simplify their teaching, and this may include both visual and audio visual aids. And it could be either concrete or non-concrete. And for example, it could be the textbooks, softwares, relevant reading materials, videos, and recordings. So those instructional materials really bring life to learning by stimulating students to learn. And this is also essential and significant tools needed for teaching and learning in order to promote teachers' efficiency and improve student performance. I think that would be all. Thank you.